Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into the second half of this video, which involves seven, count them, seven evening games. It is nice, um, long slate of games tomorrow, which means a lot of work tonight for me, and then tomorrow also. But it means you guys get a lot of great stuff to watch. And we're just going to jump into this right away with Anaheim, who are 7-3 in their last 10. They're in against Buffalo, who are 3-4-3 in their last 10. 19-13-5 is the overall record of the Anaheim Ducks. 20-11-5 is the overall record of the Buffalo Sabres. So when you look at the overall records, it favors Buffalo. If you look at the record in the last 10, it favors Anaheim. Your guess is as good as mine with this one. Buffalo coming off of a frustrating loss tonight would lead you to believe that maybe for tomorrow night, maybe taking them as the favored team might be the right way to go. But let's take a look at the numbers. Getzlaf leads the Ducks with 9 goals, 20 assists. Henrique's next with 7 goals, 13 assists. Raquel, 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points. Goal scoring leaders, Aberg with 11. Then Getzlaf, Kasha, and Silverberg all have 9. Getzlaf leads them in points per game with a 0.94, followed by Kasha with 0.84, and Raquel with a 0.67. It has been a season that really honestly has shown again that the Ducks need more scoring. And maybe if Corey Perry comes back in the near future, maybe he helps remedy that. His recent performance, though, when you look at the last couple seasons, doesn't leave me with a lot of optimism for that. On the Buffalo side, Eichel, 14 goals, 32 assists. Skinner, 25 goals and 12 assists. Reinhart, 8 goals, 26 assists for 34 points for him. When you look at goals leaders, Skinner with 25, Eichel with 14, and Pominville with 9. Points per game leaders, Eichel with 1.28, Skinner 1.03, and Reinhart 0.94. So when you look at the matchups, it seems that Buffalo has the better scoring. Defensively, I would give the edge to the Ducks. Goaltending, I would again give the edge to the Ducks. But the goaltending's where things get interesting. If they were to decide to choose Jack Johnson or Chad Johnson as their goaltender, he was Buffalo's goaltender last year. He was their backup. Did not post great numbers there. Moves on to St. Louis, gets waived by St. Louis. Now he's with Anaheim. He's 2-7 combined. 3.38 goals against, 886 save percentage. He's likely backing up Gibson. Gibson's 15-10-4 with a 2.54 goals against, 926 save percentage. For Buffalo, I'm expecting Ullmark here. He's 7-1-3 with a 2.94 goals against, 915 save percentage. Hutton is 13-10-2 with a 2.58 goals against, 917 save percentage. But he took the loss tonight. So again, I expect Ullmark tomorrow. And what works in Ullmark's favor is that he's only lost one game in regulation so far this year. Important game for both teams. For the Anaheim Ducks, of course, they're facing a situation where their record's greatly improved recently, but they're in a division where a lot of teams have greatly improved recently. And we'll see which ones are for real and which ones are not. And for Buffalo, they're starting to feel some pressure from underneath. Boston and Montreal are not that far off of them at this point. So Buffalo really, really desperately, they need to get some good news going into the break here. This is their last game before the Christmas break. Next up, Colorado and Arizona. The Avs, 4-5-1 in their last 10. Arizona, 3-7-0 in their last 10. Colorado has an overall record of 19-11-6, which looks pretty good compared to Arizona's 14-18-2. But honestly, both teams have had their struggles as of late. Over the last approximately a month, both Colorado and Arizona have been going through their challenges. And tomorrow night's game, I think, is more important for Colorado because they are the team that appears headed for the playoffs. For Arizona, I don't know. I think the important games for them, I think, are likely done this year. They seem to be backing further and further out of the division. And with the division's great improvement, any talk I had a month ago of, hey, if these guys go on any kind of a run, they could make the playoffs, that's kind of gone. The Pacific's gone on a nice run, and Arizona's kind of been left behind. Scoring leaders, Rantanen for Colorado, 16 goals, 42 assists. McKinnon, 21 goals, 34 assists. Landeskog, 23 goals, 19 assists. So your goals leaders, Landeskog 23, McKinnon 21, and Rantanen 16. It's a lot of goals by those three guys. Your points leaders, Rantanen with 1.66, McKinnon 1.57, Landeskog 1.20. On the Arizona side of things, Keller 8 goals, 15 assists, Schmaltz 6 goals, 15 assists, Ekman Larson 4 goals, 14 assists. Goals leaders, it's not great for Arizona. Keller with 8, Richardson with 8. Richardson's been sitting on 8 for a while, and Stepan with 7 are your 3 goals leaders for the Arizona Coyotes. And again, this is why Colorado's going to be heavily favored tomorrow for good reason. Keller leads the way in points per game at 0.68. That's less points per game than Mike Green in Detroit. Schmaltz 0.60, and then Ekman Larson is third with 0.53. It's been an ugly season for Arizona, minus about a 10-game period where they looked pretty good offensively. It looked like it was all coming together, and then it just wasn't. Goaltenders, I expect Varlamov, as Grubauer played tonight. Grubauer is 8-3-3, 2.98 goals against, 905 save percentage. Varlamov 11-8-3, 2.79 goals against, 913 save percentage. And I'm sure looking at the schedule a month ago and going, wow, we play Chicago and Arizona and then we go out on break. That's fantastic. They lost to Chicago. Now they've got to beat Arizona. I would expect Hill in this game, although it could be Kemper. It doesn't really matter. They're both playing pretty well. Hill 5-3, 1.97 goals against, 926 save percentage. Kemper 4-9-2 with a 2.82 goals against and a 910 save percentage. So overall, it's been a rough season for Arizona. Their goaltending's been good. Their penalty killing has been amazing, but every other statistic, they seem to be lacking overall. They are definitely lagging behind some other teams in their division and, of course, in their conference. Next up, Capitals. So coming off of a big win tonight and Wilson with another goal. Now the Capitals get to go in and play against an Ottawa team that got spanked by New Jersey tonight. And this is one of those classic throw up an Akbar magnet. This is an obvious, it's a trap kind of game. Washington on a back-to-back. Ottawa coming off of a game where they looked not great. And Craig Anderson's rumored to be starting in this one, and he didn't have a great start in the last one either. That's why I'm saying rumored. He was supposed to start in this one tomorrow. I'd be kind of surprised if they don't go with McKenna, but I've been surprised by Ottawa before. Points leaders, Ovechkin, 29 goals, 14 assists for Washington, 43 points. Backstrom, 10 goals and 30 assists for 40 points. Karlsson, 5 goals, 30 assists for 35 points. Ovechkin leads them in goal scoring, leads the league in goal scoring, 29. Backstrom, Vrana, Wilson, and Oshie all have 10 goals. So that's 4 with 10 goals behind Ovechkin's 29. Points per game, Ovechkin, 1.26. Backstrom, 1.18. Kuznetsov, 1.14. When you look at Ottawa, Stone, 16 goals, 24 assists for 40 points. Chabot, 10 goals, 27 assists for him. And Duchesne, 14 goals, 22 assists for 36 points. Goals leaders, Stone with 16, Duchesne with 14, and Dzingel with 13. So for Ottawa, things are going pretty well offensively. Defensively and goaltending-wise, it's been a little more of an adventure. Points per game, Duchesne is at 1.2 right now. Stone 1.11, and Chabot 1.03. So some good numbers overall for Ottawa when you look at the offense. Again, that's looking at the offense. Now, when you look at the goaltenders, I would expect Copley in this game since Holtby started tonight. Copley 7-2-1, 2.93 goals against, 902 save percentage. Holtby 14-8-2, 2.79 goals against, 913 save percentage. Braden Holtby is starting to play like he did in the playoffs last year, which is bad news for the rest of the league. Anderson for Ottawa, who's supposed to be the starter, is the rumor. 14-13-3, 3.58 goals against, 905 save percentage. McKenna, on the other hand, after coming in, making 7 saves over 20 minutes, not allowing a goal tonight, his numbers have changed somewhat. He's still 1-2-1, but his goals against now is 3.75, and his save percentage is up to 905. So the overall numbers get better. But the Senators committed into tomorrow night, 4-5-1 in their last 10, 15-7-4 overall. whereas the Capitals are 7-3 in their last 10. And again, the hot teams are in red, the cold teams are in blue. Came up with that myself. And 21-10-3 is the overall record of Washington. So you look at this, and on every level, this should be a win for the Washington Capitals. But as I've said before, as Don Taylor said long before me, that's why they play the games. All right. Next up, Penguins. You remember the Penguins, right? They won the Cup in 2016 and 2017, all that long time ago. They're starting to look good again. And they don't need the big guns to be hot to do it. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're 17-12-6 overall. Carolina's 3-5-2 over their last 10. They're 14-14-5. Carolina is definitely in a position where they're likely not going to be seen as a playoff team by anybody. And if they lose this game, if they head into the break with a really poor record and not a whole lot of signs of life, I do wonder what Tom Dundon's marching orders are going to be going forward. What do you sacrifice? What more do you do? And where do those pieces that you sacrifice go? And what kind of future do they have? Because if you look at recent history, guys who leave Carolina have a pretty decent shot elsewhere of doing better. Scoring leaders. Crosby for the Penguins, 16 goals, 22 assists. Malkin, 11 goals, 26 assists. One moment. Just the desert air. Kessel, 14 goals, 22 assists for 36 points. Crosby leads the team in scoring with 16, Kessel 14, and Gensel has 13 goals. Points per game, Crosby 1.19, Malkin 1.06, Kessel 1.03. Carolina, Aho leads them in scoring with 12 goals, 22 assists. Teravainen 6 goals, 19 assists. Williams 7 goals and 12 assists rounds out the top three scorers for them. Goals, Aho with 12, Ferland with 11, Svechnikov with 10. Ferland's been stuck at 11 for a very long time due to injury issues, but it also shows that Carolina just doesn't have the attack. They don't have the snipers necessary to really put themselves in a solid playoff position, which has got to be frustrating for Hurricanes fans who've seen this movie before. Goaltenders, I kind of expect Murray tomorrow. Murray's 6-5-1, 3.7 goals against, 890 save percentage. DeSmith, 11-6-4, 2.42 goals against, 926 save percentage for him. On the Carolina side of things, if Matt Gallenny could go, that would be fun. But Mrazek's 5-7-2, 2.6 goals against, 897 save percentage. Matt Gallenny, 7-3-1, 2.36 goals against, 919 save percentage. The overall numbers would indicate Pittsburgh's the favorite. But the record versus the East, while it's getting better, still not great. And the record on the road is good. Carolina, on the other hand, seem to find a way to lose. What'll be interesting is both of these teams know how to shoot the puck. One of them knows how to put it in the back of the net, but both teams know how to shoot the puck. So we'll see tomorrow which team really and truly is ready to make that move, potentially up the wonderful power rankings, which will be on tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that. Next up, Rangers. Yes, New York Rangers in against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Rangers, who have some problem scoring, against Toronto, who never has a problem scoring. Not anymore. They did early in the season, at times at home, but they came through that pretty well. And they have to be looking at tomorrow night's game as a chance to continue to build that strong resume that they're one of the contenders in the league. Leading scorers for the Rangers, Zibanejad, 11 goals, 19 assists. Hayes, 9 goals, 18 assists. Kreider, 15 goals and 8 assists. So your goals leaders, Kreider with 15, Zibanejad with 11, and then Hayes and VC both have 9 for the New York Rangers to be tied for third. Points per game, Zibanejad 0.91, Hayes 0.82, and Kreider 0.70. So things are lined up pretty well for the Rangers. Decent health for the top scorers. There's just a hope that the scoring will pick up a little bit for the Rangers. If you look at their record over the last 10, the Rangers are 6-4-3, Toronto 6-2-2. Their overall records, the Rangers 15-13-5, Toronto 23-10-2. So everything would look like it favors Toronto in this one, obviously. Marner leads Toronto in scoring with 10 goals, 37 assists. Nice to see Mitch Marner at double digits. Riley, 11 goals, 29 assists. Tavares, 23 goals and 15 assists. Goals leaders, Tavares with 23. Matthews with 19 now, and Kapanen with 12. Points per game leaders, Toronto fans know this. Matthews, 1.57. Marner, 1.34. And Riley, 1.14. Matthews is making an argument that he could be a Hart finalist. I don't know that I'd make him the winner, but he could be a Hart finalist this year. And it's just, you look at that points per game record, you look at his goals, you look at when he scores. Matthews is a key guy for Toronto. And while they had a solid record while he was out, he's still a key guy overall for Toronto. And for the Rangers, yeah, I'm not going to say that they don't have a chance, but they're up against it tomorrow night. Absolutely. Goaltenders, I expect Lundqvist for the Rangers. Georgiev's 5-4 with a 3.09 goals against, 901 save percentage. Lundqvist is 10-9-5 with a 2.87 goals against, 914 save percentage. For Toronto, I expect Anderson. Sparks is 4-1-1 with a 2.84 goals against, 913 save percentage. Anderson's 19-9-1 with a 2.48 goals against, 924 save percentage. The numbers all favor Toronto. I really think that when you look at the Atlantic Division versus the Metro, the Atlantic is the better division. And the only team I think in the Metro that could make an argument that they're as good as the top three in the Atlantic, I would go with Washington, definitely. And I don't know that I can make that argument with any of the rest. But again, that's why you play the games. I don't put an Akbar magnet on that if I have one here. But Toronto needs to be careful. It's at home. It's after a huge win over Florida. And it would be very easy for them to experience a letdown in between that game and this one. All right. Next up, Tampa Bay. Oh, how about those Lightning? Now they get to play Edmonton. So they beat Calgary, Vancouver, and now they get to play Edmonton. It's been a good run. They had the overtime loss to Winnipeg, but overall, it's been a solid run for Tampa. And this shows why they are contenders, why they're the team that pretty universally scares everybody. And yet, they still have a lot to prove come playoff time, don't they? Leading scorers for Tampa, Kucherov, 15 goals, 37 assists. Point, 21 goals, 24 assists. Stamkos, 18 goals, 19 assists. Steven Stamkos has started playing like Steven Stamkos. Goals leaders, Point with 21, Stamkos 18, Kucherov 15. Points per game, Kucherov 1.44, Point 1.25, and Stamkos 1.03. Points leaders for Edmonton, McDavid 19 goals, 30 assists for 49 points. Draisaitl 16 goals, 26 assists, and Nugent Hopkins 11 goals, 20 assists for 31 points for the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid has 19 goals, Draisaitl 16. You're surprised for the Oilers? Chiasson with 15 goals. Nobody expected that over a season, much less over less than half of a season. And the interesting thing with this one, too, is that the Oilers are 6-3-1 in their last 10. Tampa's 9-0-1. It'd be easy to take the Oilers lightly in this. The Oilers are 18-14-3 right now. Tampa's 27-7-3. The Oilers' record has been decent. And while there's been some cracks that have started to show over the last few games that maybe Hitchcock's magic touch is starting to fade a little bit, there's still enough gas left in this that I think an upset over Tampa is possible. Your points per game leaders for Edmonton. McDavid 1.44, Draisaitl 1.2, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins 0.89. And yes, it means points per game wise, right now, McDavid is behind Austin Matthews. So there, for Edmonton fans, I went ahead and threw that one out to you. Goaltenders, I expect Vasilevsky, but if they have to go with Domingue, no problem. Vasilevsky's 11-3-2 with a 2.35 goals against, 930 save percentage. Domingue is 15-4 with a 2.99 goals against, 904 save percentage. On the Edmonton side, I expect Koskinen. Talbot 7-10-2 with a 3.21 goals against, 894 save percentage. Koskinen, much friendlier, 11-4-1 with a 2.18 goals against, 928 save percentage. those numbers seem to keep widening between the two of them. And Talbot, there's less and less of an argument to be made that he should be given a shot at the starter job again in Edmonton. It's been a rough season for him, and I'm not sure if you could fix that. But that being said, let us move along to the last game of the night. That would be the Winnipeg Jets in against the Vancouver Canucks. And the last time these two teams played each other, I was at the game, and it was a great game for Winnipeg, and it got Line A going. Now, here's the bad news if you're a Canucks fan. Line A's been struggling to get goals lately. So take that as kind of a warning shot, I guess, because they're coming back to town for their second meeting this year in Vancouver. Scheifele leads them in scoring with 21 goals, 27 assists. Wheeler's next with 5 goals and 42 helpers. Line A, 23 goals and 7 assists. As I said, he hasn't been scoring a lot of goals lately. He is still their leading goal scorer with those 23. Scheifele with 21. And Nick Ehlers coming out of nowhere. Now he's got 15. Points per game, Scheifele 1.37, Wheeler 1.34, and Byfuglien 0.93. So for Winnipeg, as long as Scheifele and Wheeler are going, and as long as Ehlers can keep it up, and maybe Line A pots a goal, this could be a rough night for the Canucks. They're going to need to show that they can control that Winnipeg offense, which they weren't able to do the last time Winnipeg was in town. But for Vancouver, their leading scorer is Pettersson with 17 goals, 19 assists. Horvat, 17 goals, 17 assists. Brock Besser, 12 goals, 11 assists for 23 points. Goal scoring leaders, Pettersson and Horvat both have 17, and Besser with 12. Virtanen's right behind him with 11, though. And Jake Virtanen could be a wild card in this one. Maybe he makes a difference. And that could be both ways. Virtanen made a difference his first couple years in the NHL, usually in a negative manner. Maybe this year, and in a game like this, he can start showing that he's more than just shotgun Jake. Points per game leader, Pettersson 1.13, Besser 0.92, and Horvat 0.89. So it shows that when Besser's in the lineup, he's more productive than everybody who's not named Elias Pettersson. And Pettersson's been quite the story. He has been quite an amazing story for Vancouver, and it is a story that I'm not sure that we've seen the crescendo to. I get the feeling there's more with Pettersson, that there's potentially more consistency in his game. I don't know if he finds it this year, but man, he's just frightening out there. I expect Hellebuck in this game. He's 16-9-1 with a 2.9 goals against, 909 save percentage. That said, if they go with Brossoit, they don't really lose anything. Brossoit's 7-1-1 with a 2.35 goals against and a 930 save percentage. Vancouver, I expect Markstrom in this. Nilsson's 3-7-1 with a 3.01 goals against and 900 save percentage. Markstrom's 14-9-3 with a 2.94 goals against and a 906 save percentage. So there you go. It's an amazing lineup that we have tomorrow. The 14 games that they're throwing at us are right before the Christmas break. And, yeah, your guess is as good as mine on most of these games because, honestly, like, even, for instance, with Vancouver, who are 6-3-1 in their last 10, Winnipeg 8-2, Winnipeg's 23-10-2, so they're number one in the West right now. But Vancouver's 17-17-4. How strong is that desire to make that an 18? How strong is that desire to get above 500 and for other teams to start going, wow, maybe Vancouver's for real? We'll see. And whether they're for real or it's fool's gold, as I've said recently, it's been fun to watch. And yeah, we'll see where they go tomorrow. So let me know what you guys think. I am going to the Vegas game tomorrow, as stated. Well, this morning. It's 1 a.m. now here. But yeah, should be a fun game. I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just happen upon this video, browsing around the internet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.